can't tell you what's happening just beyond that monitor right now. But let's get down to the quarterfinals of Grand Prix Madison. Hello everyone and welcome to the quarterfinals of Grand Prix Madison 2015. And we are going to get underway with not Andrew Maine and Joe Lovrens,
No.
I can confirm.
No, that's Paul Rietzl on the right-hand side, and on the left is Magnus Lanto.
Okay, so Magic Online champion Magnus Lanto. Rietzl, what is that? Rietzl is actually eating food during the quarterfinal.
Who does that? Who works while they're eating?
Expedition Envoy kicks things off for Rietzl. Missed Intruder on the other side for that man, Magnus Lanto. Rietzl, the number 4 ranked player in the world right now. And Lanto will pile in with Missed Intruder against this 2-1 from Rietzl. Plains and Forest so far, Marshall.
That's the beginning of the story.
I heard something about Rolling Thunder.
Right. So he is actually Paul. So Paul kind of dipped around a little bit in the draft. He moved. He picked up some black cards in there. There's even a few blue cards in his pool. He didn't end up playing those. He is Naya colors with one extra color. He's got blue. You can see it right there with the Prairie Stream. He's not actually casting any blue spells with that card, though.
All right.
He's just using it as a sort of.
Is it a converge?
It's an incidental converge card, exactly.
Chasm Guide. As Paul thoughtfully wipes the food off his sleeves. Nice. So Lanto, with not much having happened in Game 1, is down to 11. Lanto will attack for 1 with his Missed Intruder. We'll see Outnumber coming off the top of Paul's library into exile.
Oh, here's Blight Herder now from Magnus Lanto.
And that is a big deal.
Yeah, that's
we're
a
gonna
huge
see
deal.
Three 1/1 Scions turn up alongside.
Right, alongside the 4/5, and that's going to do a really good job of helping Magnus stem the bleeding on the ground here. He's already fallen down to 11 life, and he did need something to help stabilize the board, and this looks like just what the doctor ordered here.
Absolutely. So Chasm Guide and Expedition Envoy are now looking, well, at a pretty clogged up board on the other side. Rietzl with 5 cards in hand right now, and he chooses Valakut Invoker with 3 of his 4 mana.
Yeah, you can see he's got his colors lined up here as well, does Paul Rietzl. So that's the good news for him, is his mana ended up being not that great. He's actually doesn't have any awesome mana fixing in the deck. He did end up with 1 natural connection, which is really nice. Also, he's playing a Sylvan Scrying, which can help him fix his mana. Again, that Prairie Stream not actually fixing his mana, as far as colors that he needs to cast spells. He's got some nice top end on this thing, though. He's got an Angelic Captain, a Grove Tender Druids, and a Veteran War Leader for his gold cards. And those are pretty decent. But
tell you what else is decent.
Goodness sakes.
That is a drowner of hope for Magnus Lanto in the rare slot. It's huge, and all those Scions are single instances of tap target creature.
Wow. So, yeah, Magnus Lanto, this is going to be a really tough hill for Paul Rietzl to climb here. He's stuck on 4 mana. He had a reasonable start with, some creatures here and okay. But at this point, Magnus Lanto just played back-to-back rares and very good ones as well, especially when you're talking about Blight Herder being able to get the extra Eldrazi Scion tokens, excuse me.
Just makes the Drown of Hope better.
Right, and the Drowner of Hope itself, of course, being a 5/5 is going to be huge here as well. Magnus is really going to want to try to turn the corner here. He is at 11 life, but he's only been pecking away in the air with the Misintruder, and he is actually going to need to start applying real pressure to Paul Rietzel's life total here.
So we're going to see Valakut Invoker get tapped with a single mana Rush of Ice, and then we're going to see tap down Chasm Guide.
And it looks like Lanto's okay with a chump block here.
Yeah.
With Paul chump blocking.
With the Expedition Envoy.
This is for 13 damage here.
Well, Rietzl's going to cast Unified Front. First time I've seen that on camera this weekend. But actually, well, I'm going to be dead.
So we didn't actually get to see it.
So Lanto leads 1-0. In the background, you can see Sam Party and Raf Levy going at it. Why don't we take a look at this match? Levy on the right, Party on the left. Party has Calastria Nighthawk, 4/5, can gain flying. Then you've also got Valakut Predator, there Nettle Drone down at the bottom for Raf Levy, Snapping Knowledge, Shadow Glider with 2 counters on, McKinney Patrol, and Grove Tender Druids. The 2 counters coming from Earthen Arms that are in Raf's graveyard right now.
So one of the cards that we saw there was Unified Front from Paul Rietzl in the last game, just to rewind here. It's a sorcery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if he was
Yeah.
trying to cast it or just was kind of messing around or whatever, but, you know, that's another reason why he has a Prairie Stream. But, of course, you know, it was Lanto's turn. He can't cast it there, and
Yep.
Paul Rietzl was like, okay, we're done here. Yeah, but jumping over to our other match here, taking a look, I don't have the completed lists for these, but I do have the drafts that they did, and I can see which cards actually made it into their deck.
Okay.
For both of these players, Sam Party started things off with a Wasteland Strangler.
Okay.
Very good start. His first picks were Wasteland Strangler, Complete Disregard, and then a Valakut Predator, which I think is probably pretty disappointing for him.
Yeah.
But as you can see, ended up being in a red-black aggressive deck that looks sort of in the middle. You know, we've seen a reasonable red-black Devoid deck present itself here with kind of mixed results throughout the course of day 2 here. But it looks like Sam is a little bit more towards the plain red and black aggressive cards, less Devoid than anything. You see he's got the Predator, he's got the Calastria Nightwatch here, and also the Nettle Drone. Oftentimes you'll see the Nettle Drone accompanied by almost exclusively colorless cards, either Devoid or actually colorless.
Sam at 5, Levy up at 9 right now with his white-green. And Levy trying to present Sam Party with some very difficult choices. Complete Disregard.
Wow, I just noticed something else.
Trade.
Rich. So, for those of you that were watching the draft earlier today, you will have seen Paul Rietzl open a Dragon Master Outcast.
Right.
But also a Rolling Thunder, which he took.
Yes.
And he shipped it along.
Yep, and Lorenz didn't take it.
No.
And Jeremy Danani didn't take it. And Raf Levy
took it. He got a 4th pick Dragon Master Outcast this draft. And I don't think he's running it.
No, well, not if he's straight white-green.
I think he's just straight up white-green.
And at the moment, that's doing him fine, because he's 1-0 up. Doing nicely there. So, both our main matches are busy shuffling for game number 2. We'll bring you some turbo action in a little while. But we will focus in on Paul Rietzl and Magnus Lanto as they prepare for game number 2.
You know, Randy just pointed out that Raf is actually running 3 mountains. Yeah, we had white-green on the graphic, but I think he's actually splashing for that Dragon Master Outcast and perhaps something else.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that as well.
Well, 5/5 dragons for free every upkeep do win games of Magic in most formats.
Yeah, the first one often will win. The second one's kind of lights out.
Yeah. So, which of these two? And really, this front table, it's worked out that the top 8 is very top heavy with these 2 matchups. You know, arguably these are the 4 best players in the top 8. Certainly the most renowned with the best resumes. We can say that for certain. So 2 will get eliminated in the next hour or so. And maybe that leaves the way clear for someone like John Graham, the #1 seed, for example, on the other side of the tables.
Now, is John the one that it's his first GP?
That's Lavren's. That's Joe
gotcha.
Lavren's, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty certain that's correct. Joe Lavren's is in his very first...
Your first GP?
Yeah.
I didn't even make day 2 at my first GP.
No, not me either.
In fact, I remember in day 1 of that GP, it was M11. It was in Seattle, you know where I'm from.
Yep.
Actually, it was in Portland. We had to drive down for it, but it's not far. And I remember distinctly that this is the one of the things that really stood out to me from that GP, unfortunately, is my opponent and I each took a mulligan. And I kept my hand, and my opponent kept my hand. And they were on the play. And they're like, go. No land.
No, they just
go. And I'm like, hey, you haven't played a land. Like, don't forget to play a land. And
just passed.
No, they just kept a 0 lander. I lost that game. I did not win that game.
I didn't see that. Didn't see where the end of that story was.
It's a
going,
harrowing
Marshall.
memory. You know, I can't escape it. It's what I think of when I think of my first GP.
So when people go, come to your first GP, it'll be a great moving experience, and you just think, no land, lost that one.
Yeah, lost that game.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it was funny.
All right, Paul Rietzl, Magnus, Lanto, give us some good magic here in the second game of the quarterfinals. Rietzl, whose white, red, green opens up with a swamp.
It looks like he has changed directions here, Rich.
It really does.
Paul has a significant number of black cards in his list, and it looks like he has decided to go with that. He's got a pair of Colostria Healers, a Mindraker, 2 Nurkana Assassin, a Smothering Abomination at double black, and a Voracious Null.
Yep.
Wow.
So
okay.
Complete switcheroo. We're now black, green, white. And Lanto's done nothing off his first 3 turns. So Colostria Healer can come in.
If I'm looking at Paul's hand, are we black, green, white, red? Oh, man. Paul's just going for it here.
And he went. So that's twice that Unified Front hasn't happened.
Yeah, the first time was...
once because it isn't an instant. And this time around because it's getting exiled.
Spell Shrivel got him.
Yep. So Incubator Drone now and an Eldrazi Scion for Magnus Lanto.
Lanto's deck is solid. It's just straight up blue-red. He kind of picked his lane and stayed in it. Nothing too tricky there. And it looks like a solid deck to me from looking at it. He's got a nice top end on it as well. We got a chance to see his Blight Herder in the last game. He's also got a Deathless Behemoth as well as a Scour from Existence if he finds the mana for that as well.
Tajura Warcaller came down for Paul Rietzl. That meant, first of all, that there was a life point swing via Colostria Healer, and then some more damage, courtesy of the healer being big enough to rumble with the best of them. So in it came. Lanto down at 13. Lanto now is going to, having got an extra point of damage out of his token, is going to come up with Drowner of Hope and 2 Scions. So this is looking very promising for Lanto.
It is. Paul Rietzl, you know, he has found one of the best cards in his deck with the Tajuru Warcaller, but he doesn't really have the board state to take advantage of it right now. And Magnus Lanto has put out quite an impressive board state. All right, now this is good for Paul. This is Core Entanglers, which is going to trigger, well, all of these. These are all allies that he's played here, all 3 of them in a row. So he's going to get to drain him. All of his creatures are going to get +2/+2 until end of turn, and he even gets to tap a creature.
Incidentally, I believe there was a Brilliant Spectrum in Paul Rietzl's hand. And if that's true, that's the uncastable blue card with Converge. Could be wrong. Just that sort of saw what looked like outstretched arms.
Let me look and see if he's got one. He's got 2 in his list.
So
I'm going to say you're right.
I think he has 5 color Converge with 4 colors of mana out, but not the one that lets him cast Brilliant Spectrum.
He's 5 color Converge allies.
I think that's the case.
Breaking new ground here at the GP. Something to keep in mind, by the way, you know, Paul has not started his testing for limited yet for the PT, and in fact his first draft of the format was earlier today.
Yep.
Yet here he is in the top 8. It's really a testament, to what a great player Paul is. Now this draft was rough. Like, let's not pull any punches. The draft that in the top 8 didn't go very smoothly. Here's
Deathless Behemoth.
Behemoth, yeah.
Yeah.
But still, Paul's kind of making it up as he goes. Not an easy thing to do.
No, he's in a world of trouble here, despite being 22-12 ahead. And Jura Warcaller sits on the board, potentially doing good work. Two mana. Let's go Seeking the Wilds. 1, 2, 3, 4. And Paul leans back just a little bit too far. Reveals a forest. I'm going to wager that there wasn't an island in that collection.
You'd be right, or a creature.
Or yeah.
Wow, that must have been a heck of a pile that Paul saw on the top from the top of his library there to come up with a forest after all that.
4 forests. I don't think it was that. Laser Plains passes the turn.
Kind of interesting that he's playing out his lands here. I'm actually curious because he's got a Brilliant Spectrum in hand, and he's going to need things to pitch to that when he finally finds the blue mana. I'm trying to think of reasons why he might be playing every land out of his hands, and I've thought of one.
Like, is it Rolling Thunder?
No. He drafted an Ulamog.
So he might be trying to get to 10.
Look, anything goes. Look at it. Look at what he's got on the battlefield right now.
Okay. Valakut Invoker for Magnus Lanto.
Was that a Grove Tender Druid?
I believe it is, yes.
Now that's an ally that makes plants. It doesn't feel like Paul has a line.
Plants.
Oh, sorry. Right. Plants.
So vulgar.
Yeah.
Plants. What is that?
I didn't even think about it. You just say it. But they're not plant allies.
No.
Unfortunately.
No, just humble little things.
Yeah. So the issue here, of course, is that Paul's found himself in a position where he's now behind on board. He doesn't realistically have a way to get in enough damage to kill Magnus in a turn. And he is now going to have to try to stay alive for as long as he can. Maybe to find blue mana so he can cast Brilliant Spectrum and try to find an answer or some big bomb. He's got a lot of mana at his disposal. There's that Grove Tender Druids we saw earlier, Rich.
Lanto's board just keeps getting
So the thing
better.
to key in on here is that he just hit his 8th mana.
Yeah, so let's key in on 3 damage straight off.
Yeah.
Repeatable every turn.
That's right.
And by every turn, we mean the probably 1 turn remaining.
This is actually a lethal attack here also, so Paul is going to be compelled to block, and it looks like he's maybe lining up a double block on Deathless Behemoth. Yeah, we could be looking at just 1 turn left here for Rietzl.
Yes. There we go.
Yeah, he finds a land.
And not the island that might have made the game interesting a long time ago. Well, sometimes weird drafts end up in weird places that win you games. This was a weird draft that was weird places that lost you games.
Yeah, it was tough. It just never really came together for him. His seat was very difficult. It never really presented him a clear path to walk down. And like I said, he kind of had his hands in a few different cookie jars, and when it came time to actually build, the deck just wasn't really there for him.
Meanwhile, the back table is also done. So let's see if we can find out what happened in that one. See if we get information from the crew down in the feature match area. So we will see what else we can bring you as our quarterfinals continue here.
I mean, I'm assuming that it was Raf. Didn't we see Raf basically taking over in the first game? Yeah, Levy won 2-0 there.
Okay.
Rich. So he's onto the semis.
Yep. And we will get a chance to take a look at our turbo match. So this is going to be John Graham against Jeremy Danani. Graham on the left.
You're not saying that right, by the way. It's Graham.
We don't. Graham.
Yeah, we kind of ignore a lot of the letters.
It's like Gramm, kind of.
Yes.
Okay.
I know that's terrible because I like the way you say it better.
Graham. It's not quite that, but yeah. Okay. John Graham.
Perfect.
Kind of. Against Jeremy Danani.
Welcome to Wisconsin.
Thank you. Complete disregard. Takes out Benthic Infiltrator. Courier Griffin now for Graham. Marassa Ranger for Danani here in game 1.
That could get big.
That's a second Courier Griffin, so that's 4 life gained now. Yeah, Marassa. The thing is, Marassa Ranger takes up your whole turn.
It does.
It's 4 mana to activate to put on the 2 counters, but it is just an ability with no cards attached to it, so that's kind of the plus side.
You know, when you flood out. Now, that was interesting there because Graham did not attack with one of his Courier Griffins, but also didn't block when the Ranger came in.
So we're going to see some awakening courtesy of Clutch of Currents, and this is starting to put John quite a long way ahead here. As you can see, it's an empty board for Danani. He's got a spawning bed which can put some things in, but he doesn't have time for that right now. It's Dominator Drone and Void Attendant.
Yeah. Danani played a natural connection on that turn before, Rich, so at least he has a lot of mana to work with.
Yeah, but Skyline Cascade in with the team, and Danani is very close to out of time, one would think, here in game 1.
Wow, these 2 tempo plays back-to-back from John have been completely backbreaking.
Yeah, adverse conditions really delivering the goods. Bone Splinters still pile in, double block. They were some trades, so we've still got Courier Griffin against Dominator Drone now.
He's whittled down his board pretty significantly, and we see that John hasn't actually added to it.
But
Flyer gets there.
Flyer gets there, absolutely. So it's 1-0 to the number 1 seed up against the French former player of the year. Oran Reef Invoker gets the ball rolling for Danani, and it meets Gideon's Reproach straight away. Lifespring Druid can accelerate him to 5 mana on turn 4, potentially, opposite McKindy Patrol from Graham. All right, Hagra Sharpshooter and Oran Reef Invoker. Here's Courier Griffin, which did great work in game number 1. With Levy and Lanto safely into the semi-finals, you would think that both, in the nicest way, would be quite happy for Jeremy Danani to be gone.
I think you're right.
From the final 4.
For sure.
With all respect to JG, who is the number 1 seed coming into this after just a fantastic weekend. We saw him beat Reed Duke on camera earlier in the day, and he's really taken advantage. If you're going to beat the best, you might as well then kick on and get into the top 8, and he's doing well here. Again, the second Courier Griffin down for him.
He's got a McKindy Patrol there as well.
Danani would like to attack with the Oran Reef Invoker, and he's got up to 8 mana, so he just says, I'm going to hit you for 7. Trampling over. No blocks from Graham, who will send through the air for 4. And down comes Eldrazi Sky Spawner, plus friend. I'm not sure Eldrazi have friends, but...
I don't think they do.
Companions.
Yeah. Co-workers?
Or even Scions. We could go with that. Let's call them that.
There you go.
All right. Sky Spawner plus Scion. See?
There you go.
Works fine. Darkness fell again briefly here in Madison, but we've seen the light, and Void Attendant is down. There's Bone Splinters from Danani, but flying on the other side of the table still prevails. And Graham sends in for another 4 points of damage through the air. Hagra Sharpshooter, giving things -1/-1, could be awkward, certainly for the Sky Spawner. Danani will again send in the Oran Reef Invoker and pump. Gideon's Reproach kills it off. Danani tapped out. More significant attacking, double block. That's a 1-for-1 trade off the double block. But that is it. And John Graham just got there, and in real sort of traditional fashion of, here's a little 2-1 flyer, here's a 2-3 flyer, here's another 2-3 flyer. Turn them sideways, stay alive a bit, take some damage, keep hitting you through the air. 4, 4. Okay, you killed 1, 2. All right. Well, if you remember right back at the start of the quarterfinals, we put up a graphic saying semi-finals, Joe Lovrens, Andrew Maine. Well, it turns out they're in the quarterfinals, and they are playing and they are live. It is 1-0 to Joe Lovrens. This is our final quarterfinal, if you're following me at home.
I'm with you.
Yeah, just as well.
And this is Joe's first
GP.
GP.
Not just GP top 8, first GP. So great job by him. Let's see, Halamar.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about, the things you have to get through to get to a top 8 if you've played a bunch of them. Mm-hmm. If you haven't, you're still kind of figuring this all out as you go.
Fathom Feeder, Halamar Tidecaller, Lifespring Druid. That's what's on the left-hand side of the board for Joe Lovrens. Andrew Maine has just cracked his Sanctum of Ugin to go and find himself a Breaker of Armies. That's quite a powerful card, Breaker of Armies.
It's really, really strong.
Right now, 2 mana from the Hedron Archive. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's the Breaker of Armies. And I was going to show you Coastal Discovery, but instead I'm going to show you Ulamog's Nullifier.
Wow, it looks like he's got a lot of food for that thing, too. That is the problem, of course, with Ulamog's Nullifier, is that it takes 2 cards to process here, which often you don't have, but no problem for Joe Lovrens. And what a blowout.
Yep.
Goodness sakes, he just got a 2-3 flying and kept his opponent off of
a 10-8.
A 10-8.
Taunting Eldrazi.
Wow, that was nasty.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny part about him accidentally showing the Coastal Discovery is that it's kind of rub-ins because he's just got all that more coming,
Yeah.
Wait, and is that an expedition I see there too, Rich? This guy's just got it all. You see that right there on the bottom?
Uh-huh. Think it is.
I think it's an expedition too, so Joe Lovrens just has it all here. Look at this.
Having fun in Adventureland.
I am jealous, deeply jealous of this man. He just got to Ulamog Nullify an 8-drop, no problem. He tapped his expedition so that he could use Coastal Discovery for full value. Yeah, Joe Lovrens, he's my kind of guy.
Well, there's a reasonable chance you're going to see quite a bit more of him. Because through that play, he is now comfortably ahead. Don't forget he's got that 4-4 forest up top.
I got to say, you got to go for style points though and put the counters on the expedition, right?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure he would have got to the top 8 using that particular strategic aesthetic that you've just evinced. All right, Marshall.
I mean, it's a theory. It's still a working theory.
We've reached the evinced part of the weekend. My word.
Yeah, he looks way ahead on board here, too.
Right.
Andrew Maine's down to 8 life.
And must win this game. Is this sacrifice Hedron Archive? Oh, no. 6 mana. Oh, okay.
Serpentine Spike?
Yes.
Does that get him out of this? 4,
3,
2. Whoa. That was huge.
You're left with a Halamar Tidecaller and a Lifespring Druid.
Now, besides the cards that Joe has in his hand after animating that land, that was a huge swing for Andrew Maine. That actually did get him out of that mess. Whoa. We got a game here, Rich.
Yeah.
Now we're going to see, this is the first time we get a really a good chance to see what Joe drew with his Coastal Discovery here, and if he's got some big haymaker to take control of this game back, or if he's...
Well, he's going to be able to cast it unless it's a Desolation Twin. I mean, he is one short of that, the current max. 10's where it ends.
I mean, can't we just go for Ulamog in that case?
Yeah.
You think even bigger, Rich. You got to go big.
20's bigger than 10.
Yeah.
That is. I mean,
that is true.
That is
we're not going to argue that point.
No. That's pretty deep philosophy if we're going to debate that one.
Yeah.
His Demon's Grasp like to take out your cruiser.
Yeah, Cryptic Cruiser looks like he's going to go ahead and cash it in here. Also Andrew Maine has a lot of cards exiled from Joe Lavrence's library. A lot of food there for processing.
Okay.
Well, he did
4.
He
we
did
go.
have a follow-up play.
Yeah, that's a 4/4 flyer. Nice. Skyrider Elf. Big style.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we were wondering, what did he draw? What was it that was going to get him out of this mess? And now we see what it was. Joe Lavrence takes the reins back, and he's got a 2-turn clock going on Andrew Maine, who now has to come up with something huge again. And he did.
Tightening Coils.
Tightening Coils is going to basically nullify it here.
It's a -2.
Is that a Bane of Balaged also?
Is a Bane of Balaged. 7/5.
Jeez.
Forces the X.
Wow, it's like an arm wrestling match. There's just like tug of war here. Neither player is willing to pass a turn without being firmly in the lead, yet every time they do, they end up being behind. Wow.
Okay.
Now what's happening?
Now he's about to make an utterly gigantic man that would have been a 5/5.
Is that an Ulamog the spoiler?
Yeah, it would have been a 5/5, but I'm going to make it as a 9/9, obviously.
And the trend continues, Rich. We just can't get one player to pass a turn without playing a huge haymaker that gets him right back in the game.
Yeah.
But that is now a lethal threat, and we could see Bane of Balaged chump blocking at some point here. Time to cash in that archive. Jeez, this has been a great little game we've watched.
Sure.
Merc Strider.
Go away, 9/9.
Now this is actually going to clear the way here for an attack with his Bane of Balaged, which is going to get that, we call it pseudo annihilator. He's going to have exile 2 cards here, which starts to add up when you're trying to cast cards like Ulamog's Despoiler. He's going to sacrifice his elf. We know that because that's just basically doing nothing, and a land here. Does he have enough to recast it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, he does.
I also want to make very clear this is not meant as a joke. It is getting increasingly hard for Joe Lavrenz to process.
Yes.
In the sense that if you just look at the top there in the middle, there are still plenty of cards in Lavrenz's exile pile for Maine to put back if he wants to process. But for Lavrenz, we can see a Scour from Existence. I think that may be the only one. And let's not forget that the Despoiler wants 2.
Ah.
You see?
That's huge.
Right. So it is, in that phrase, increasingly hard to process is a real thing here.
Wow. This game has been fantastic, especially because if he plays it and can't process, then it does trade for the Bane of Balaged, but that's so much worse than just gobbling it up. Oh, this is interesting. Joe's going to go ahead and just get in there. Now, Joe, it looks like Joe's up a game here.
Are you planning for game 3?
Well, I was wondering if we were heading for a 3 or if this was, potentially Joe looking to close it out.
so many piles of cards. 6 mana.
Ulamog's Respoiler. And it's back. And as you mentioned, Rich, you saw it, man. Nope, just a normal size Ulamog's Respoiler.
Not quite enough processor power going on.
Another land there for Andrew Maine. He plays it first main phase here, which could give Joe a lot of information. Yeah, he's not going to be able to attack this time.
Yeah. That's super interesting.
That's super brutal.
I mean,
he doesn't need much, but he does not send it in. And there's Dampening Pulse for Joe. Joe's going to fall down to 4 life here. He's chump blocking the Despoiler, but he does have a Bane of Bala Ged online still. It's now 6 power. He needs to find something here, though.
What a great game. And it has been.
It could be a creature. Like, he could attack here, hit Joe down to 4, play a creature, block.
Just passing the turn.
Do it again. Oh, he's just passed the turn back.
So, Joe, taking a look. 6 shows you Grip of Desolation, kills the Bane of Bala Ged, kills a land. Joe Lorenz is our 4th semi-finalist here at Grand Prix Madison. Congratulations to him. 2-0 to Joe Lorenz.